Welcome everyone to another episode of our Spotlight series. I'm here today with Jane. Jane, it's so lovely to connect with you today. How is your morning going?
It's good. It's been a hectic morning getting my son off to school, but we're all okay now. And I have my cat sitting on my lap. Oh no, maybe sitting on my shoulder.
I love that. Your cat can co-host with me for today's session. I'm super excited. We encourage all of our members to work from a space that's definitely most comfortable. So I love to see you in what looks like your happy place, Jane.
Yes.
And so thank you again for joining us today. I'm going to jump right into things. I'd love to set the stage for us and for you to tell our community members who you are and who you serve.
My name's Jane Harbison, and I serve people who are looking to sow the way to the hearts of the men in their life. You know, those little ones and the big ones. I design fabric, and it's got a retro vibe. I design fabric for boys and men. And I've been doing it for a couple of years and I love it.
That's incredibly fascinating because, you know, we often talk about the fact that we serve a lot of community members at Searchy that, you know, have very interesting topics. And I'm really interested in unpacking a little bit of what that digital product is and how you've built it with Searchy and what your business looks like. So you mentioned this obviously in your intro in terms of helping people, you know, sow a way to the heart of men and boys. So how do you serve your market? You mentioned that you are a designer, you do design fabrics. So what does that look like? How do you serve your market?
I've been designing fabric for a couple of years now, and as I mentioned, I design it always with boys and men in mind. But I'd been doing that for a couple of years, and I thought, how I'm designing all these fabrics, how do I get people to actually purchase them? And there's certainly places, there's marketplaces for people to buy fabric. Spoonflower is a big print on demand website, but I'm one of many there, and I just thought, okay, what problem am I solving designing fabrics for men? And that sort of got me thinking about why people would buy fabric for men and boys, and they sew with it and they make things that for the special people in their life. And so I've started down this track around designing sewing patterns to go with the fabric that I design. And so I've just embarked on creating another product line that facilitates the back end of sewing that you know, using the fabrics that I design. And so that whole process has been really interesting because even though I've been sewing since I was a young girl, Mum taught me how to sew. Grew up on a little farm in Texas, Queensland, Australia. I've never designed a pattern before, and so it was this whole new learning curve for me, and I was able to tap into wonderful people that could help me with illustrations based in the Ukraine and local pattern drafters and illustrators. And so I was able to sort of bring a whole lot of skills into the creation of something that I had firmly in my mind.
I love this concept of, you know, being able to take something that you've been incredibly passionate about, it sounds like for quite a long time, and reaching out and collaborating with members, both in a local community and an international community to add those elements together. And as we transition to talk a little bit more about Searchy, where does Searchy fit into that?
I very simply, in the first place, as a landing page, and because I wanted somewhere for people to be able to understand why they should buy this pattern over the millions of others that are already out there, and those that are out there for free. And I knew I didn't want to sell my product for free. You know, I didn't want to give it away, even though it's a low value product. It's $20. It's a lot of time and care has gone into it, and I think as creatives we give so much away for free, and I want to change that conversation, that you know, the stuff that you spend hours creating is worth something. And I actually I also wanted to charge for it because, as far as lead generation and that sort of things, you start to qualify who's in your community, you know, who you're working with. And as a result, I'm starting to see some really, you know, lovely feedback. And I'm starting to see people are sending me photos of the shirts made up and that sort of thing. It's great. But getting back to Searchy, I was able to create a very quick landing page. It didn't take me long at all. And I was also able to connect to those people that are thinking of buying it, who've never met me before. So I could create these videos and these stories around why I had created it for them, which a lot of websites don't do, but Searchy makes that really easy to do. And because sewing and fabrics are also visual, I was able to also create a whole lot of video content just on the landing page that explained what they would get and how easy it was to use, how easy it is to contact me. The other thing I really like about it is it integrates easily with my email service, you know, so they could click a button, buy the pattern, goes to Stripe, Stripe triggers a Zap, Zap goes to a, you know, an email, and it just all works really seamlessly.
I love that. And I love that you talked specifically about where Searchy fits in with what sounds like a larger funnel of all these back end things that are happening, that are basically being triggered once someone does purchase a product or land on a landing page. And I so love this idea of being able to take a very physical product but add so much value to that product using video with that storytelling in video. We often think about, you know, the value that physical products have just by themselves, but I feel like video really allows us to tap into the emotion behind those products as well. And it can certainly help us leverage those skills, those design skills and that creativity, and I think reach more people in the long run as well.
Something like a pattern is ubiquitous, and they've been around for decades. You know, people have, so unless you attach a story to it, I don't think there's a connection to it. And that's what I love about things that are made for us, because you know somebody's taken that time and care to invest in a gift for you. And I think those possessions in our lives, we treasure those possessions that have stories and connections with them, and they start to define our identity and define who we are, and they connect us to our past, they connect us to who we are now, and I think also they're a reminder of what maybe our future could look like too, and they shape our future. You know, those childhood memories of me sewing with mum and mum making my formal dresses and all that sort of thing. You know, they're sort of timeless stories that I think many people have, but they shape, you know, how I connect with people now, how I, treat people, how I speak to people. Um, yeah, yeah. So I think it's a big reason for what I do and why I do it.
That's incredible. Just the ability to, evoke so much nostalgia and emotion, and turn something that otherwise, may feel materialistic into a very passionate activity, and one that, goes back to what you were saying in terms of, sewing with your heart and sewing, to the way of someone's heart as well.
Yes.
I really love that. And we've kind of talked about this, but Jane, you're a designer. You know the impact, and we've talked about the impact that a strong visual can have on selling the product. So community members often talk about how exceptionally executed all of your pages are as well. What would you say is your secret sauce, if you're willing to share it, in terms of how you put together an online site that evokes the type of experience that you want your audience to feel if they're looking to purchase a product?
Secret sauce. Interestingly, my background's accounting. When I at school, my really good subjects were home economics, art, history. I was getting A's in all of those. But at the time, this is back in the late 80s, there was no career in it, or nobody told me there was a career in it. There wasn't a path paved for me. But accounting was really easy to understand, and there were connections already made and all that sort of thing. So that's where I went. That's what I went to university to do, and what I spent sort of 20 odd years doing. But it wasn't sort of until I got to my 40s, I just went, I don't really enjoy this. And I think when you don't enjoy something, you don't invest the time and effort into getting really, really good at it. You can be okay at it, and I am, and I still use it. I sit on the boards of schools and things like that, with my accounting skills. But I wasn't, I don't love it. And so I took myself off to a very intensive graphic design course with an independent school here. It's really high quality. I was just invested in it for about 3 months. And I loved that. The days were from, 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, every day for 3 months. So they just really pushed us to have a portfolio at the end of it. And I love that. There's not many jobs where you love working, those sorts of hours, and you just want more of it. And then I dabbled in a few things. I sort of created some products for girls. And then I spent 8 years teaching creativity to teens and tweens. And interestingly, in that process, I get all the girls to do their strengths assessment. I just think it's a really nice thing for anyone to really tap into their strengths. And one of my top strengths is beauty and excellence. So I love working with excellent people, excellent products. I love surrounding myself with excellent environment. It doesn't always look like that. My house, the house can look a little bit messy and things can get messy, but I really thrive in those environments. I love learning. I have this love of learning. So surrounding myself with excellent things to make my world more beautiful, I seek those out. And Saatchi is one of those. It's a beautifully simple tool. It allows you to create a beautiful space. It has lots of flexibility in it, and it's just getting better and better every day. I've been been with it since the very beginning, and just seeing it evolve beautifully. But it's that secret sauce that you talk about. It's practice. It's doing it. It's creating the ugly first, and then learning that is ugly, and being prepared to kill your uglies, and rework it again. And it's the same with my pattern designs. Gosh, if I looked at what I was creating 18 months ago, I'm actually going back to a lot of those at the moment and reworking them, because I've learned so much more. So for anybody that's embarking on learning Searchy from the very, very beginning, don't be afraid just to throw something up and create something, get people to use it and tell you what works and what doesn't work, and play with it. And yes, don't be afraid to create something that that's a little bit ugly in the beginning, because the more that you do it, the more beautiful it will become. Absolutely guaranteed. It's all practice. Everything in the world is practice, practice, practice.
Jane, I love how refreshing that answer is, because I always ask that, not having any clue how people are going to respond. And I think practice is such a perfect and simple, but absolutely accurate answer for that, because no one gets it right the first time. And what we see in a lot of our customers who are super happy and satisfied with the products that they put out is they practice a lot, and they learn to keep it messy, and they let go of feeling like they always constantly need to reach a specific destination. It's really about the journey and being open to changing, evolving with the products and growing as a person alongside growing with your business as well.
Yes. I, at the moment, am doing a promotion for my pattern. So I've just released it at the 1st of August. And I was listening to a podcast by Ray Edwards, and he's a copywriter. And so he talks about what sells and what doesn't, and how to write it and that sort of thing. You might be familiar with him. He said, what was it? He was talking about ads that look like brochures, just your mailbox brochures work. They don't have to be beautiful. People buy the big yellow, red, and black, bannered stuff. And that's just so off-brand and so uncomfortable for me. But I just thought, I'm going to try it, as create this ad that looks ugly. So, but when they come to the site, it's this pleasant surprise, I suppose. But it stops the scroll, and it piques people's interest, because it's not something that they're used to seeing, because they're used to seeing, particularly in Instagram, all this beautiful stuff. And I've put something not so beautiful out there, really earthy actually, and simple, and people are clicking on it. People are buying my pattern, and it's an uncomplicated, messy message, and then they click on my page, and I invite them into the story, which Searchy then makes it very easy for me to tell.
I love that. What an interesting way to be open to challenging your misconceptions on whether something's going to be, performing well or not. And that I'm super excited to hear that, it's off to a very strong start.
We'll see. We'll see. I've got big goals for it, but baby steps.
Baby steps. And I want to circle back to something that you were saying, because obviously we know that you use Searchy for your landing pages. So I wanted to ask in terms of how Searchy has maybe allowed you to transfer over your design skills into creating specific hubs. So we talked about, outside of ads that are big and yellow and red and black that perform, but then stopping the scroll when they get to the actual hub itself and leaving an impression. And we talked about, the need for being able to continue expressing your creativity as well. So has Searchy allowed you to do that, either through the Canva integration or your own graphics that you maybe upload to the site?
Yep. Actually, the Canva integration is great. The main thing is because when you click that link and I go into Canva and I've got all my materials there and I load them onto that template that you've created, I just know if it fits on that screen, it's going to look good in Searchy. So I don't have to think about what are the dimensions of my images, which you have to do for so many other devices. I just know if I click that link, load my image on it, move it around exactly where I want it, and I just know, and press publish, and it's on the page and it's ready to go. And it's really quick. I really love that facility and use it all the time. Because I'm uploading my portfolios and things into it as well, and so I'm uploading my fabric designs and things like that, and I just know if I click it into Canva, it's going to be presented really nicely and just evenly. All the little boxes are the same size, and it's just music to my eyes. If you can
love the consistency.
It's
that
really
consistent. Go ahead.
It's appeal. Yeah, no, it's really appealing. Yeah. And the other thing too I like about it is I have to be really careful about not putting too many words. And in Searchy, if you put too many words on the page, it starts to look cluttered. So it actually forces you to be really sharp with what you want to say. And so if I can't put it in a heading and a dot point, I'm saying too much. And again, that comes back to I need it to look really neat and space. I love space. I love negative space. So there has to be air on the page. And yeah, again, Searchy makes that really easy to create.
I love that expression of air on a page, because that negative space really highlights the actual content that you share. So you're more likely to pick up on all the subtle details, such as all of the boxes are a consistent size. The quality is clear. It looks great. The product speaks to itself. And you talked about uploading your portfolio into Searchy. So I wanted to ask a little bit more in terms of how many products you're currently selling. But before we get into some of your existing services and products that you offer, what was the first product you ever sold? What was your first paid product?
It was my 5-day creative challenge for girls. So I was teaching tween and teen girls all online a creative process. And I did that for a number of years. And it was a nice safe space. When you're dealing with kids too, it's a nice safe space for the kids, for the girls to come, because a lot of them said we're not on Facebook and that sort of thing, understandably. And it was just a nice, clean way for me to deliver my videos each day and my lives each day. So that was, yeah, those were my first products that I sold. And then this one now with I'm just focusing on one product and doing it well. And then I've got ideas for the future, which I'll then scale up.
I love that. And I love the power in, sticking with one product that you know very well. I feel like as creatives, especially, it goes back to what you were talking about in terms of practice, where that really allows us to hone our skill and also become known for something specific.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to become known for the place that you go for patterns and fabric for boys and men. And it's not just the consumer that is buying these, but I'm also pitching to large organizations who buy patterns for their products, whether it be Speedo or Bonds or Uniqlo or Target, all of those sort of big stores. They're buying patterns all the time for their fabrics. So I'd love to be in time the designer that people come to and go, okay, what's Jane got in her current collections for boys and men's line. That's where I'd love to get to.
I love that. I love casting that vision of looking towards the future, because I think it's amazing the progress that you've already made with that switch into design. And was there a specific part, because I know that you talked about that you do have a background in accounting, and you did get to a point where, you kind of jumped right into sewing, almost going back to your roots with your passions and with your design fabric. So was there a point in your transition between these two very different industries where you thought to yourself, like, this is it, I made the right choice, like, I am where I need to be, this is the path for me right now?
I am very fortunate to have a very supportive husband. As many creatives know, it's hard to make a living from it. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes time to be known and to get good at it. Particularly if you want to do it from home, which I did because I've got a young child. Peter and I had Harry very late in life, and I was 45 with a baby. So and I wanted to do that from home. I want to be home, and we're in a very fortunate situation that we can do that. And to be honest, the first, my first 8 years has been a financial strain, and there's no way I could have done that, sustain that without my husband supporting me. But this feels right, and I've done it really differently this time. I've been really conservative with my expenditure, really careful with the things that I invest in. I've got a few things that I invest in that I absolutely need. Searchy is one of those. It can do a lot for me at this stage. I don't need lots of bells and whistles, and I'm always asking myself, can I do this for free? Can I cobble this connection? Can I get someone to buy my product without all the bells and whistles? And so far, it's not costing me, a lot. And I've certainly got targets that I need to hit to break even. I'm not there yet, but I'm further along than I have been in previous ventures, and it feels like less work. So watch this space. And I'm also, the other interesting thing too, I've been very considered and constant about where my place is in what I'm doing. Sorry. And people are now talking about what I do. So it's not just me talking about being a designer for boys and men. Other people are telling my story as well, which is really encouraging, which means also I've started to get the message right and simple. And you know, platforms like Searchy help me to keep it tight. You know.
So I want to go back to that as well, because we've talked about a lot of really awesome practical ways that you've been able to take very specific, sometimes even literal column elements and apply them towards your business. But taking a little bit of a step back, because I know that you have largely a physical product.
No.
What would you say Searchy had done for you in terms of helping you move your business along?
It frees up a lot of time, I think. Previously, I had a WordPress website, and the number of plugins that it requires to have a functioning website that does what I need it to do just became, one, very expensive, lots, you know, hundreds of dollars a month, plus lots of time to keep it up to date. I was always updating plugins, always making sure that fonts still worked and themes still worked, and then getting support when they didn't, that sort of thing. I don't have that anymore. I just upload my content and that's it. You know, I don't have to do any of that. So it's freed up a lot of time for me, which allows then me to develop really good products and really good designs and communicate with the people that are buying them and engaging with me, and more time to market and talk to the people that might be interested in what I'm doing. So that I would say would be the biggest thing that it's given me. So time and money.
And business aside, what does free time mean to you? Because I think oftentimes, you know, on the other side of the fence, as you know, working for a tech platform, we talk a lot about automating tech processes, and that in itself sometimes seems like gibberish. We talk a lot about simplifying tech processes, and it all just sometimes sounds like even a marketing scam. But you're talking now about, you know, having a funnel that is connected together where everything works, frees up time. So when we're talking about all of these things being automated and simplifying the tech processes, what does that free time mean for you outside of the business?
It means for me that I can, and I've still got to get better at this, but I can work from 9 till 2:30. And so when Harry comes home, I'm with him. So that's the big thing. I don't always do it. So because he walk around that little corner there and go, Mom, I want to show you something. Or can you come and fight with me, or you know, something like that, or I just want to show you something. And I was like, can I just finish this one thing? You know, there's probably people that are going, yes, I do that too, but I want to do that less, and I'm getting better at it. I think I'm getting better at it. Maybe you'll have to ask my son. But it also means that I don't have to work, and I don't want to work on Saturday and Sunday. I just want to do my work week and work it between 9 and 2:30. And that is really important, I think. Well, it is for us. You know, we worked very hard to get him.
Absolutely. And I think it goes very full circle with what you were talking about earlier, Jane, in terms of creatives often struggle with monetizing their business. And the result of that is they get burnt out. And it's harder to create art, it's harder to design when you don't have the sleep and you're working in an industry that doesn't promote those healthy working habits. So I think all of these things are incredibly valuable because, as you're saying, watch the space. As content creators and as business owners, we have the capability and the power to change that narrative, to put the money back into the art, in the sense that we do charge for art. We are proud of our work. We're passionate about what we do, but we're going to do it in a way where we, respect ourselves and we respect our art, and not working ourselves, to the brink, basically.
Well, I've been able to create a whole collection based around Harry's artwork. And it's really unique, and I love it, and I'm going to pitch it. There's companies in mind that I've got for it, but I can sit down and do that because I've got the time to create not just art that has a connection that people resonate with, and I think the world is a better place for that.
Absolutely. And that sounds incredibly exciting. Just as an off note, I know we're still recording, but if there's any elements of those visuals that you'd be able to share with us, I think that would be incredibly valuable to showcasing, your spotlight as well. I know that you said that you're pitching potentially to specific companies. So if you can't, that's okay as well. But
no,
I really,
really
fine. Love that.
Would it, so taking it from the original drawing into seeing it on a piece of fabric, something like that, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that. What a way to, turn something you love into something that everybody can love. That's just incredible.
I had my nephew draw me an ice cream and a piece of pizza, and I turned it into fabric, and I made him a pillowcase, which he now proudly puts on his bed, wears on his bed. It's gorgeous. And he just drew it for me while he was staying here. It was just a random thing. And yeah, it's lovely.
It's really almost funny hearing you talk about that, because we often talk about, repurposing content, but what a great way to repurpose content, where you take that, original and you kind of remix it into something that continued to live on as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Jane, this has been an amazing conversation. I feel like we were able to really tap into a lot of things that I think sometimes people struggle in their business that you clearly do very well. For anyone who is going through that accounting to fabric design shift, what would you say to the people who are putting their practice in, but they're not sure if it's worth it? Is the grass greener on the other side?
I'd love to say, just do it. But I think that's actually irresponsible, particularly if you've got a whole lot of people that you're responsible for, and I think that's probably one of the reasons that so many people don't end up making the jump. But I really encourage doing it alongside for a while, you know, practice while you're, you know, while you're working, do the practice. Find, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day. And I'm in a community of extraordinary designers who are doing just that. They're full-time nurses, they're full-time teachers, and they're coming home, and after dinner or whatever, they're finding half an hour to create this beautiful floral motif or this gothic scene, or you know, something that's reminiscent of the Romans and the Vikings. You know, it's, but they're spending some time, and even it's a small amount, but they've been doing it for, you know, a year or a year and a half, and now they're starting to believe actually they've got something there that that's commercial, and they can start to contribute to the family or to their own existence in a way that really lights them up. So, and maybe this is the cautious accountant in me, but I think you can add unnecessary stress to your life by just jumping in and hoping for the best. I think a little thought and a little planning and a little practice goes a long way, and I think can make the whole experience more rewarding, because the last thing you want to do is destroy your passion because it hasn't worked out how you'd planned. And I talked about this for many years with the girls in, you know, doing what you love, because when you do that, you stick with it, and when you stick with it, you get good at it, and when you get good at it, people reward you handsomely for it. And I think it's nice to be able to do that gently.
Absolutely. Gently and with care. We have to put a lot of care into this.
Yes, yes, yes.
Amazing. Jane, thank you so much for letting us pick your brain a little bit today. From one creative to another creative, I think it's incredibly rewarding to see, you know, where practice has taken you so far. And, you know, on behalf of Team Searchy, we can't wait to see you grow. And thank you for all of the light and creativity and aesthetic designs that you share with our community as well.
Thank you very much. I so enjoy the Searchy community. It's awesome. It's so supportive. And thank you again for creating this beautiful space for us to be able to share it with the world. So thank you.
Thank you.